Okay, so we're back in the workshop for part 2 of this TBS Caipirinha build. So I'm going to take you through the parts that I'm planning to fit, the reasons why, and hopefully in this video start putting some things together. I've done a little bit of 3D printing. I'm not sure, I think I might plaster dip them, but basically some plastic covers over here that will enable easy access to some of the components. Also this little plastic cover which should go over the engine mount. I've removed the distribution board for a moment, we'll talk about that in a little while. But this has been stuck together now for a week, so plenty of time to let everything kind of settle in. I also had the push button replacements come from TBS in Hong Kong, and that's all fitted on now. So yeah, let me take you through the parts that I'm going to fit and the reasons why. Okay, so we'll just go through things in the box and speak about them one by one. So the first thing is the radio receiver. So I'm using one of these 4-channel Easy UHF RX receivers. Now I've gone for this for a couple of reasons. First of all, my other gear is all Easy UHF, so that's kind of the primary reason, and I go for this kind of small lightweight one because it will fit into one of those little pod bay areas, and I know I can get pretty reasonable and reliable range with this. Now I did think about getting the 8-channel one that's diversity, which has got 2 antennas to give a little bit a broader spectrum of coverage. I may or may not end up going with one of those in the future. It's the same price, but this one's a little bit lighter, and also this radio is going to be able to go a lot further than the 5.8 gigahertz video that I'm going to be using, so I think that it doesn't make sense. I don't need it. A lot of people now fly with the TBS Crossfire radio system, and even though I am tempted by that, I decided not to, again because then it's an additional cost, and it's going to be only compatible with this one craft, and again I'm still not quite sure if I'm going to have to fly it very well or if it's really going to be my kind of cup of tea. So that's what we're going to do for radio receiving. So put that to one side. Then for the camera, I've decided to go for one of these Runcam Swift 2s. You can get them in black and orange. I'm trying to keep things all looking as stealthy as possible, so I've gone for the black version. So these get pretty good reviews, and my belief is, I should have had the spec sheets ready, but it's IR blocked, which means it's good for FPV. It's going to work reasonably well in low light-ish as well. And I think from memory, this is a 4x3 camera. Some of them were switchable 4x3 to 16:9, because the Fat Shark goggles I have are default to 16:9, so it will stretch it a little bit. But I'm confident that's going to run okay. I did look at getting one of the TBS cameras, but there's just again the general issue with stock availability. So going with this Runcam Swift 2 for now, and hopefully it's going to work well. That will fit in the little front bay. We'll look at that in a bit more detail later. Next up, GPS. So I've gone with the Team Black Sheep GPS / Compass kind of Core Pro receiver. These are pretty expensive, really. It's £80 just for this GPS Compass puck, which is quite expensive compared to, I guess, just a standard GPS Compass setup. But I really do like the plug and play compatibility of all the Team Black Sheep stuff, and it also means this is going to fit in well with some of the other TBS gear that I'm running. And the primary reason that I wanted this, depending on how familiar you are with kind of RC stuff, so most of my drones all have GPS and return to home feature. This is the first time flying a wing, and I did read a little bit about something called iNav, and that gives the ability to have some return to home features. And there's really a mixed kind of discussion about whether you should or don't need return to home, or if you just kind of keep it as lightweight as possible. So I'm kind of going down the initial route of the lightweight approach, but having this on here along with the rest of the setup that I'm using will give me compass coordinates on my on-screen display. So in the event that I do lose reception and it crashes and I ditch it somewhere, I will have the ability to replay the video in the goggles, because the goggles are recording what's happening, assuming it doesn't break, of course, and I can then see where it went down. And I'm still trying to look if there's any other way that I just got a Taranis receiver. I'm wondering if I can somehow feed telemetry into that. Haven't got to that stage yet. That's a problem for the future. Then in here I have the TBS FP Vision. And this is kind of a funky, smart little piece of kit. Again, designed to fit into that small pouch area. And basically what this is let's see if I can get this, just so small. There we go. So it's a really nice, really small 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter, and I'm going to pair this with a TBS wing layer. Now this is the thing that I'm still waiting for to come into stock somewhere so I can get it, but I think I can pretty much wire up all the power and everything to this. So this is going to provide me with the video that I'm looking for. Also handles obviously the camera connection in there for the video. I'm using a 5.8 gigahertz Spiro-Net antenna, and I've got that in the box. I'll grab that in a moment. Because obviously this isn't long enough to fit through the gap in the wing, I've ordered these 90mm SMA extension adapter, so I'm hoping that I can extend that down and that will fit out through the wing nicely enough. So I've not used any of this gear before, so this is kind of part of their Power Cube range that they're tending to use on their racing quads. So I am kind of learning as I go along, and I've noticed that there isn't many videos or guides online that talk about you know, how this stuff goes together. So hopefully we can learn a little bit together as we go through this build, and I'll do some overlay videos and stuff as we kind of go through to hopefully show you how things are wiring up. So talking of wiring things up, so let's pop these back in the box so I don't lose it. I've disconnected the power distribution board and the ESC. So I think this is a 50 amp ESC, or it might be a 30 amp ESC. I'll have to check. I'll put a note down below. Now, as standard, as the wing in the PMP form comes out, it's got the power distribution board in there. It has the ESC already directly mounted onto this back solder plate. And if you plan to just fly it as a wing with no FPV, then you're pretty much good to go. They don't really recommend this wing for non-FPV because, you know, that's not really what it's designed for. So what I need to do is extend, well, I'm basically rewire how this is working. So I need to basically cut this off or desolder. I'm going for cutting it off, putting some bullet connectors in. I then need to route the power through and into one of these pocket bays, obviously to power the FPV vision and the wing layer, and then route that back to this distribution board. So there's a bit of coming and going with the cables. I need to work out how I'm going to route all that. But also the reason for doing that, and also the reason for buying some of this stuff, the FPV Vision and that wing layer, is it enables me to do voltage monitoring, which is why you're kind of running this through that equipment. So that's the plan. And yeah, the only thing I'm not sure of is the wing layer. Oh, I guess I should say the wing layer is basically, it isn't a flight controller. But it is a replacement or a substitute for the flight controller. So typically the flight controller gives you some different capabilities. So the iNav, for example. So if you have a flight controller on there that supports the iNav, you could have these return to home and loiter features, etc. The wing layer is basically taking that away. So you're pretty much flying everything manually, which is really what the wing is designed for anyway. So again, these are just decisions you have to make. And with that wing layer, it is designed to obviously connect that GPS puck to, and also to connect a TBS Crossfire directly to it as well as obviously the servo cables and everything. So the thing I'm not quite sure about yet, which I just have to work out as I go, is how I integrate that configuration into this Easy UHF receiver that I've got. And I don't know if many people are running this, because like I said, I'm not saying this is old school, but not many people seem to be using them anymore. I guess some people had issues. I've never had any issues with this, which is why I'm confident to carry on using it. But I'm not quite sure how it's going to configure into that wing layer. And again, I haven't really seen too much online, so we'll just have to work it out as we go. I'll just quickly grab that 5.8 gigahertz Spiranet antenna out, just so you can see what that looks like and where it's going to fit. And then we'll kind of get on and try and work out how we can start soldering this all together and hopefully not completely breaking everything. Okay, so we're going to start off with this is what I think are the easier things, the things I definitely have with me right now. So I was planning to start off by doing the power cables and the power distribution board. Really I want to use 14 or 16 AWG cable, and I don't have that in a decent length. I've got some 16 AWG arriving in the morning, about 6 meters worth, so I'm going to postpone the cabling until then. What I can start to do is run some of the ancillary cables. So I'm going to start off by putting the camera in. So by default, the TBS FPV Vision has its camera power set to 5 volts, and this Swift 2 can accept power from 5 to 36 volts, so no problems there. There is a slightly larger pinned cable, so instead of using the cables that come with the FPV Vision, I'm using the cable that came with this RunCam Swift camera itself. It's got a 2.5mm lens, providing what's the word for it, 130 degree viewing angle, so it should be really good for this type of wing. So first things first, I'm just going to plug the larger end of the cable that came with it into the power and ground cables there. Hopefully you can kind of see that on the camera. So just get that plugged in, easy enough. And the other thing that's actually kind of handy, obviously I couldn't use the TBS leads if I wanted to, because it's not the right connector for this camera, but also those leads are too small, so I wouldn't have the ability to push it all the way through. So if you just look how long this cable is compared to the cable that comes with the FPV Vision, it's not going to do well enough. So there it is, all wired in, and basically I just need to get access to the channel that brings this through. So hopefully you can see this here. The camera's also going to slot in here, and there is a nice channel that runs all the way in to here, so it should be super straightforward. I think that the the camera will fit snugly enough, but if it doesn't, then we can always just apply a little bit of glue. So I don't know if you can see this on the camera, this is already just coming through really easily. Okay, so I may have to make some slight amendments here. So this camera, where it has the little kind of inserts to attach to a bracket, don't really want that. So there is a different chassis covering, so I will just, I think, swap that out and fit that instead, and I should have a nice flusher finish. So let me just take it out to pause now, but you can see already plenty of room here on that cable. Okay, so we've got the camera installed now. So it turned out that those mounting holes were kind of inbuilt, so changing that front cover wouldn't have helped. So what I've done was just basically took a craft knife and just cut out a small section to enable this to sit more flush. It seems to have come out really well. That's one of the beauties, I guess, of this foam wing. You can make those minor adjustments to make everything fit and look pretty decent. So I'm happy with that so far. Next thing I think we're going to look at is to see if I have the right length of cables to get this video transmitter antenna in. So we're just going to pop off these 3D printed covers that I printed and look at how we can run the cable. Basically it's going to come through the front to the back here and then somehow find its way all the way over to here. So I need to see if the cables I've got are going to be long enough. Okay, so I've pretty much worked out the way the cable is going to run. So it kind of runs in a channel underneath where the servo is, and there's really only a very small gap that antenna connection can come through. So what I need to do is disconnect this backing plate from the FPV Vision. That will enable me to disconnect the video transmitter, connect this on to here, and then hopefully slowly work its way through. Now the only thing I'm not too sure about is this these metal pieces on the end here. I think it's going to obstruct moving through, so I might have to cut them off. But yeah, we'll take this apart and see what our options are. I don't think there was any other cables that came with this. Now there's you get a spare cable, but it's kind of just the same. Oh, sorry, it's okay, so you can change it from a male to a female, but we're good because we need a female on the end. Oh, yeah, so we do need to change actually. So I think so. We've got male. Oh crap! That's got the wrong cables. Crap. So that is annoying. Basically, yeah, I needed this end to be, this is female, but I guess I needed a female to male, and this is a male to female. This build isn't going well so far. let me see if I've got any other cables so that I can adjust what we're doing here, because right now tonight isn't very productive, and it's, what time is it? 11 PM, and all I've got is a simple camera connector. Haha, I found one. So just been through my box of RC gear, and I found the pigtail I'm looking for. So as I can see here, this will connect all the way through. So I will need to take this off anyway. I think I probably want to do that for mounting, but yeah, so I think we're good. The question is going to be, like I said already, if this piece there is going to fit through, or if somehow I'm going to have to kind of try and cut it off. So I'm going to see if I can work that out now. So I just disconnect this piece, because I'm pretty sure it's I'll show you the little area it comes through is literally just a few mil. I kind of think there's no way it's going to fit through there, but you don't know unless you try. So let's just see what happens. And there's no way I can really cut that out, because I think it's just going to create a right mess. So this cable goes through there. Yeah, it's definitely going to have to be cut, I think. So if you look here, what I'm trying to do, if I just show you from the top, this is the span that this needs to go through. So I have, the length is fine. The tricky bit is going to be this bit here. So there's probably an alternative, but I'm going to see if I can cut those off. Okay, so what I'm able to do is put it in the vise and use these wire cutters. The metal is relatively thin, so I was able to clip through it and then just file it down a little bit, and then I've put just some larger heat shrink around it, as you can see, hopefully, just to provide a little bit of protection as I'm trying to kind of guide it through that foam area. So I'm sure you can probably buy a pigtail extension that's going to be the right size, and I may look at doing that, but just in terms of, I feel like I just want to make some progress, because I don't really think there's too much more I'm going to have to do this evening, so time's just flying away. But now I know, I have a better, clearer idea what it is I'm looking for. I might have a quick look on Amazon before I finish up and check if there's anything else, but for now, let's see if we can route this cable through and get it to where we need to be. Okay, so maybe something like this should work okay. Let's just see if this panel will still go on neatly. Okay, so I think once screwed in, that would hold tightly. And then the antenna is nicely elevated, and I think that the connector is going to kind of end up going around kind of where it's coming out, just in there. So I think we should be good. We just do a test fit, I guess, or a rough test fit. So the camera connect in there. This needs to go upside down. It's roughly that size, I think. Yeah, I think that'd work. If you look at where the existing antenna is connected and where this new one is going in, I think that's going to work fine. And obviously once this is screwed down, then we should be good. Progress. I'm trying to think what else we can do. So I will need to take this apart. Just for reference for you guys as you're looking at this. With the camera connectors on the top, this one is camera 1, this one is camera 2, so I need to make sure that when I plug this in, when looking down on it, it's going to be on the right hand side. I'm just being cautious as to what I connect right now, because obviously I'm going to take this all out because I need to solder in the power and everything. So yeah, not as much progress as I'd like. I should have check that those cables are going to come tomorrow, then can get back out here. I guess what I could do now, thinking about before we finish up for the evening, is run the GPS antenna across. So that needs to come from the far left hand side here all the way over here into the right. So I'll put this FPV vision out of the way for a while, tie up a bit of space, and then we'll see if we can't get that mounted in here. That's the plan. Okay, so just doing some looking online, and really what I need is a 20 centimeter, is it 20 centimeter? It's 20 centimeters. It's a 20 centimeter 90 degree UFL pigtail SMA cable. It looks like about £5. The issue is trying to find a place that does them, I guess. So I still need to get the wing layer. So I'm hoping that what I'll do is, I mean, this will be okay for now. Maybe I won't change it out, but I do a little bit of an OCD for stuff. Even though you can't see it, I want to make sure it's right. So I might see if I can pick up one of those. Just looking online to see if how much they are. Yeah, they've only got 10 centimeter ones, and I need a 20 centimeter. I'll have a little look. Team Black Sheep do them on their own website, which is where I've seen this. So anyway, let's get on with putting the compass in, and then I'll wrap up, and then come back tomorrow hopefully to do some cabling. So I'm not sure that's going to be long enough. I don't know, it might be. It might be. So both of these seem to be okay size wise. I don't know if this type of video is interesting to you guys. I guess you'll leave a commentary in the channel. But yeah, so pretty simple. There's the connector on the back, and we just need to get this connected in. Now the reason to do this now is there's a good chance that we might lose the cable in the hole, and also we don't want to do that. See where we're going to route this. So it's going to be from over here, and it's going to be, I don't know where it's going to come out from, right? So I guess we stick it in the hole and see where it comes out, I guess. It looks like there's only one way it can go, so we're going to want to put this in, not that it matters right a second, but the logo facing up. Obviously it's talking to satellites, and it will relatively easily penetrate the foam, so that's not a problem. So we just need to try and persuade this in through this cable, this little hole here. It's just going to be interesting, I guess. This is one of the cool things about this this wing, how you obviously do have the ability to kind of route things all the way from one side to the other. I guess what I need to do here is pop that other cover off. So I guess it's gonna come through one side to the other. I'm guessing, I don't know. It's got glued in somehow. It's got glued in when cables were getting put in. Oh, it's not glued in, it was just stuck. That's good, that's good. Right, so how do we... Right, it's another one of these ones that's just through that damn... the really small kind of tiny hole in there to try and feed it through again. Definitely need tweezers for this build. So I guess we just need to feed this literally all the way through to the other side. This is going to get really tricky because these holes aren't huge, but you're going to have 2 servo cables, 1 GPS cable, 4 power cables. Shit. Where's that? Looking in here. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of cable. I don't think I need to glue that or anything. That's in there pretty damn good. And then just as a refresher, so the cable obviously runs all the way through this main channel here. I think you'll probably want to push that back as far as you can, because obviously the receiver is going to go in there. This comes all the way through here, and there's a decent amount of cable left, so you can curl that up and plug that in. So that's going to plug into the TBS wing layer, which obviously is the one that we still need to get yet. So that's it. I feel like it's taken a longer time and not like loads of progress, but like I said, I think this is probably going to be a big part. So the next stage is going to be we're going to take apart the FPV vision, mount the new wires connected to that. Hopefully the power cables will have come so we can get that wired in, and then we should be able to do a video test, I'm assuming. Yeah, so I'll call it a night for now, and then we're back in a second with the next installment of this same part 2. Okay, so it's the next evening. I've got the cable I ordered from Amazon, so I think what I'm going to try and do tonight is just get some of these power lines or power cables run in. And I've also been thinking a bit more about what I'm going to do in terms of receiver. So because the FPV Vision and the TBS wing layer are obviously both Team Black Sheep components, there does seem to be some controversy, is not probably not the right word, but some debate on whether or how well it's going to work with the immersion RC Easy UHF, or at least how much messing around you're going to have to be doing. So I am thinking about on Monday seeing if I can return that Easy UHF receiver and then buy one of the TBS Crossfire Micro V2s and the micro transmitter. So it is going to push the cost of the build up, I think, probably by £80, I think. But is it £80? Yeah, probably about that. And so I didn't really want to do that, but then I'm also thinking that is it going to take me more time trying to get that working, because I also can't find anyone else that's running a similar setup with the wing and everything, and I don't really want to get a flight controller because that's going to defeat the object of what I'm trying to do here. So I figure keep it all with the Team Black Sheep stuff. I've got more support opportunities and it's going to fly how it's designed to, really. So think a little bit more about that for Monday. Also see if I can get a refund on that, because if I can't, obviously that's going to put the cost of doing it up even more. So anyway, less of that. Let's see if we can get some things cabled in, and maybe we can at least see if the FPV Vision boots, and if we can get some video on the go. One of the things that I have been thinking about is if I go with this Crossfire solution, I'm still going to have an issue of how I get from one side to the other. So I still want to have the receiver at the opposite end to the transmitter here. So it's going to go here, and that means they use a Team Black Sheep BST lead. So I need to be able to get that from one side to the other. And I think that they you know, a stand it's like only 5 centimeters or something. So let me just see how long a lead I'm going to need. So it connects in over here somewhere. So I think I need at least 20 centimeters, if not more. There's supposed to be some cable that runs through there. So yeah, I think at least 20. So I might see if someone's got a 20 centimeter cable, I might buy one of those with it as well. That'll give me what I need, I think. Hopefully, maybe. Anyway, let's work out how much cable I need and start getting some of this stuff soldered in, and just do a power up and see how we get on. So I think I mentioned this before. What I'm going to do is solder on bullet connectors, so that in the event something fails, it's going to be a lot easier for me to replace any of the either the ESCs or any of the components. Not everyone's a big fan of that. I've never had any problems, and I prefer just the flexibility that gives me. So I'm going to get the soldering iron warming up and move this out of the way, and then start soldering some things on. Okay, so I'm still in the process of finishing the soldering, but one of the things I realised whilst I got the iron running is because I'm not using a TBS camera, I am going to have to probably change the wiring between the run cam and the FP Vision. So I'm going to see if I can work that out now, and then hopefully all the cabling will be finished up and we can just see if we get video. all the soldering's now finished. I was about to put it all in, and then I realised it'd probably be a good idea first to just make sure the firmware is up to date on this, as well as do a bench test. So I'm just installed the TBS agent, and it says that there is firmware available. So it's currently on version 1.68 and it can be updated to version 2.02. So we'll just do that. Blue light is flashing. So I get all this set up, the firmware updated. I'm going to pop to the garage and get the Fat Shark goggles, and then we can see if this stuff is working or not. It's past midnight, it's half past midnight. Garaging up on the bench, everything is working fine. They're working great with my old Fat Sharks. I can see the video perfectly, and the only thing I can't work out right now is how to adjust the power. So it's stuck at 25 watts. It's something to do with setting a call sign or something. My better Fat Sharks weren't working, but I noticed when I took this off that I've been running this all the time in race mode, whereas really it should be band A. So I'm hoping that that's the problem. And quickly plug this back in and I hope we get some better results. Okay. This one is up top. Oh, I didn't need to adjust the cables on the camera either. I found another lead in there, which is perfect. And let's see if this works now. It's weird because in this in these Fat Sharks I could see the picture, but it was rubbish. It looked like it was off channel. So let's see if we can find ourselves. Okay, so it turns out battery ran out on the camera last night, so I just kind of take this opportunity to bring you guys up to speed before we kind of hold for a little bit, because I need to wait for some more equipment to arrive. I'll talk about that in a moment. So I think where the video ran out was I was trying to get the other Fat Sharks to work. They did work once I'd set the band right, so it's a coincidence, or even a miracle in a way, that the fact it was working with my other quads, no problem. I checked it still works with it in the right band. So I've made a bit of progress. So now I finished testing everything on the bench and everything worked really fine. I've soldered some bullet connectors on to for the ESC, and this will connect onto the TBS wing layer. Once that arrives, that's the bit we're still waiting for even to come into stock so we can order. Everything works really well. The telemetry is working, so I'll give an overlay of what that looks like at some point. The anyway, that's the best way of showing this to you guys. So in here now, the FP Vision is in. There's a couple of long screws that come with this, so I've bolted it in. You could use some sticky back 3M tape. I went with the screws, seeing as we have them, and it means that hopefully the video antenna is not going to pop off. But that all works really well. One of the things about this FP Vision, if you buy one, it is similar to their other kind of standalone 5.8 gigahertz video. But the thing to notice is that you can do all of the configuration just from a push button switch in here. So you put the goggles on, hold it for like 5 seconds, then you get the menu screen up, and each button press will move you down through the menus. Press and hold and then you can make some changes. So from there you're able to configure what on-screen display information you want, the metric units, also the power of the VTX in this. So it starts off at 25 milliwatts, I think it is, and you can go all the way up to 800 milliwatts, obviously depending on what country you're located in and what the rules are, but that works really well. I've also obviously put the compass and GPS module back in, so that's over here. I've run all the cables across from one side to the other. I've also just popped a little set of LEDs on the back here. I still need to find out if there is going to be a 5-volt power outage or something that I can wire this up to, but I've put a little JST clip just in here for now to be able to connect that up. So it'd be quite cool to have some blue LEDs at the back there if we can power them. But yeah, so far it's all good. So now what I need to wait on is a couple of things, and so I need to wait for that wing layer to come back in stock. Still waiting on it. I'm hoping that will come in next week. I've ordered a 20 centimeter BST connector, 2 of them, which will go from this one bay to the other, where the TBS Crossfire micro receiver will go. So I've ordered that as well, and an antenna for it, which we'll look at how we're going to mount that in here. So you should have diversity with that antenna. Then I need to ring the people that I bought the Easy UHF for last week to see if they will let me do an exchange. Now I looked on their website and already I can't get a refund on it, which is fine. So I'm going to see if I can get an exchange for the TBS Crossfire micro transmitter. Once that arrives, I can then again start wiring some of this stuff up, but I really need that FP vision before I can do anything else really. So the video will kind of stop here for now, and then we will resume once that FP vision comes in. Why do I keep on calling it FPV all the time? I'm going to run this all from this new Tyrannus that I recently got. As you can see, I've got the Easy UHF in here at the back. So I will do a separate video on that as well. So those that are interested in the Tyrannus, they've been around for a really long time now, but a really good controllers, and I decided to treat myself to one of those, and it's awesome. So right, I will be back when this TBS wing layer arrives. Okay, so if you're still watching this video, thank you very much for staying tuned in. I think it's must be like the longest video I've ever done, but obviously it takes a while to build this. So I've now got the final bits arrived this morning from TBS in Hong Kong. So I have the TBS Crossfire Micro Receiver V2. So this is going to be replacing that Immersion RC receiver I was originally going to use, because it should just work better in this setup. I've also got 2 50 centimeter BST cables which will connect in to this Crossfire, so running from the one side over, and that will plug into the FP Vision, not the FP Vision, the TPS wing layer, which has arrived here. And then the only thing left to do, which we'll do in the next video when we kind of set all the electronics up and make sure they're working, is the blades for the motor, little cover that covers the motor wires so that you can sit the ESC on top, and obviously the strap for the GoPro Hero. I've ordered a 4K one of those, so we should be good. So now basically I'm going to get this wing layer unboxed and solder on the connectors, and then let's see if all the wiring we've done so far makes sense and works at all. So let's pop this out of the way whilst we sort that out. I've also ordered some of these 3-pin 90-degree soldering pins, because I think that obviously we're going to have to mount the servos onto the FP Vision, and this should be the easiest way of doing that. So we'll see how we get on. Right, so let's pop this open. Okay, so the wing layer comes with some mounting connectors, and this is it. So as you can see on here, we've got the servo channels here. So channel 1 will be for the ESC, and then channels 2 and 3 for the servos for the ailerons, and then we have these 2 BST connectors, one to connect the micro V2 to, and the other one is just an additional one for GPS or whatever. We have that on the Vision already. So yeah, this is cool. There is also a ground and 5.3 volt input connection. I might be able to run the LEDs off that, so let's see. But first of all, we'll start off by soldering on the little cables that I made previously. So you need to get a bit of solder on there, and then hopefully we can get this thing plugged in. It's definitely good to have a decent soldering iron that gets the right heat, because it makes it a lot easier to do a neat job with this stuff. At least I think it looks pretty neat anyway. So let's work out how this is going to go on. Okay, so that's what it's looking like. Hope that kind of focuses in. So now let's just have a little look and see how this is actually going to fit into the wing. And yeah, if we are going to put these 90-degree connectors in as well or not. Okay, so as you can see, just from offering that up, there's no way the servo lead is going to fit and allow for that canopy door to close. So we are going to need to replace the current pin setup with this 90-degree fixing here. So it's a 4-pin arrangement, so we just need to make sure we just snap off 1, 2, 3, 4, so about there. Okay, so we've got the 4 that we need snapped off. Now, removing these pins can sometimes be a right pain, and you've got to make sure that you do a really neat job on the soldering to make sure everything stays good. So really the tip is kind of just heat up the tops, and they should just kind of helpfully
pull off. So we shall see how well this works. This is obviously a bit tricky with this stuff. Noticed the microphone wasn't on. This whole build is turning into a catastrophe, but it's real life. So what we've got is the wing layer is in. I've done up the little nuts with a 5.5 mil hex connector. There seems to be power to the wing layer because it is providing power over here to the TBS Crossfire V2. That cable is just run kind of all the way through. The cable that I've bought is the right extension cable, but when you look at the original one, it also only has 4 cables and it connects to the ground down to channel 3. And so you need to just make sure you kind of keep that in mind when you're connecting something up. So it's finally all together. So again, the battery ran out last night. It took me far too long to try and get all these things wired through. So just take you through briefly what I've got going on here. So I still haven't put the covers back on yet because I want to make sure that all the electronics are working before I seal everything up. But I put this bottom seal on and also ran a small cable into the foam for the blue LEDs that I've put on there. I'll show you that shortly. Then I've now put the camera in, and that works quite well. Very easy and straightforward to do. I got the Crossfire Micro RX V2 in here. That fits really nicely. The antennas I haven't done too much with just yet. I just stuck them out because I've got I can't remember what it's called now, an Immortal T or something that I'm going to have to drill a hole through to get that working and mounted so it runs vertically. I had to run 2 BST cables from the Crossfire over to the FP Vision and the wing layer. That's to do 2 things. One is to be able to control the servos, and the other BST connector is for the telemetry cables. So in the end I used 2 50cm BST cables for that. Getting the cables through here is an absolute nightmare. As you can see in the overlays, there's like 10 cables in there. It's a right mess. I haven't tied up all the cables in this other area where the wing layer is because I just kind of wedged it in so that this door would shut. But until all the electrics are kind of tested and working, I may have to kind of take things apart and think yet, so I don't want to mess with that just yet. I still want to put some sort of covering or something over where the motor's mounted, but I'll come back to that a little bit later in the build. The ESC fits nice and snugly, so no issues there whatsoever. Just grab a battery, and you can see here the blue LEDs that I've put on the back. So if that's going to look pretty cool when it's flying through the skies. So yeah, so the next step is to obviously test all the electronics, and we'll do that in the next video. Get everything paired up with the Tyrannus that I have with the Crossfire. I've never used Crossfire before, So it's going to be interesting for me to try and work out how to make that work. But hopefully there'll be some information online that I can pull together. So this has been a really long process to get to this stage. I don't know if the video was helpful. To be honest, it's been a lot longer and more complicated build than I thought it was going to be. It does look really good. I just hope that it won't be too many more weeks until I get this thing working in the air. So I think right now the total build time in terms of how long I had to wait for different components has been must be nearly a month already. So cool. If you built one of these or you're thinking about building one, feel free to leave comments, let me know your thoughts and feelings, and I'll catch you in part 3 where we get the electronics set up. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.